Ladies, gentlemen, and aviators of all ages, welcome back to MSFS 2024. I'm Av Angel, and this is a DC-3. And I'm willing to fly it now because Duckworth's mod is compatible with 2024. Apparently for a few weeks, but I'm slow. This is okay. I didn't know about it. It was only on his Discord, and now it's updated on FSTO. I will link to that, of course. Most importantly, the Duckworth mod allows you to fly the DC-3 in Flight Sim without it being the Aeroplane Heaven stock one, which is bad. Now, unfortunately, as we go into our ground mode here, as joyous as it is to see my big old Goonie bird, my favourite girl, in the flesh, from a foot perspective, God, that's I can't get over that view. That is the view of the DC-3 that I just love so much. Unfortunately, we see things like our fire extinguisher entering in and out of visibility whenever it appears again. It might decide to. The chocks will appear and reappear, because they weren't actually enabled to do anything properly. Unfortunately, this is basically a direct port. Despite being a first-party developer and a first-party included stock aircraft, it's essentially a straight port from 20. Now, that works just fine. You get absolutely exactly the same aircraft you got in 20, but it does mean we don't get any clickable features. We get no covers, no pitot covers. Obviously, the pitot covers are would be here on DC-3. Those are two pitos. You get none of the additional features, which would be really nice to see. I would love to have seen that. Maybe someone can add them. Maybe if they ever unencrypt the files, someone will actually go through and update this thing properly and make it good. Because I'd love to be able to actually climb in the aircraft and do the various things, you know, walk around features. Small mercies. Either way. Means we can do things properly now. We're back here in our favourite old girl. So let's get ourselves ready to rock and roll here today. We're at Bugalaga in Papua New Guinea, and we're heading to Nabire on the northern coast. Now, it's going to be a little bit hard with what we're doing today, because, this is a short strip, and I will show you what I mean by that in a second. Those of you familiar with here will know exactly what I'm about to do. I ended 2020 with a ski jump at a DC-3, and we're going to start my first proper DC-3 flight in 24 with a ski jump at a DC-3. Around 10 seconds, 15 seconds here. And we can hit the mesh. Give our primer. Give it 1, a 2, a 3. A little bit of love. Is it going to bite? It's not going to bite, no. So let that one drain out for a second whilst we go to the right engine instead. Need a bit more time on that. Mags are enabled. Okay, that's good. Mags now actually on. That was not set. That's probably why it didn't start. Come on, girl. Start for me. Bingo. There we go. Engines can be a little temperamental sometimes on this old girl. Especially when it comes to using it properly. Let's get the RPM up here. Little bit much there. That's okay. Now, we are at altitude here. You'll see you're about 6,500 feet, so I'm going to lean this out as soon as we actually get up here. Come on, baby. That's it. That's it. That's it. Come on. Bingo. We got it. Okay, so I'm going to set this to auto lean off the start here because we're at 6,500 feet. And we're going to want this as we've got it. Now, whilst the engines warm up, I'm going to take you for a little quick look as we... and I do love that I'm blasting the grass with the engines. It's the little things in 24. Yeah, it's full of bugs and it's got a lot of work to do to get even equal with 2020 in many respects. But the base that we get in this game, think of the potential it has. Even the tiny things like it's affecting the environment with our prop wash there. This is Bugalaga. Yeah. It's short, and that's kind of a taxiway length. And that's us. We're about to go off that. Into that. What could go wrong? Absolutely nothing could go wrong here. Let's get back on board, shall we? Okay. Alright. 1 for the money, 2 for the show. Let's get ready to go. Now, I need to make sure my trim is set appropriately here. I like to go for a 2% nose down on my trim. Helps get the tail up. Get the aircraft under response. We're going to go with a notch of flaps here, just to 1/4. We're going to make sure we get rid of the chocks which are there, which do actually affect it. And we're going to start turning around. So, head tracking enabled. Let's close that. Make our life quite noisy. I'm going to up my right prop here to help turn us around in a confined space. It helps really do a bit of a 180 here. And that's our runway. It's a little intimidating to see us approaching a cliff edge here, essentially. There we go. We'll leave those boosters till we're airborne. Alright, let's do this thing, shall we? That was not me. We're about to jump off this edge here. So, yoke forward. Oh, hello. That's it. That's it, girl. Oh, steady on, steady on, steady on. Oh, God. Speed's looking good, and... Whew. Mildly easy in comparison. Nose down. Build some airspeed here. We're going to turn around and head north. About 300 is what we're going to want. We need a bit of speed before we do this in these mountains. We're going to come around our right here. Okay, looking good there. Speed's still pretty low. We're going to keep ourselves straight here. At 120, 110 probably about our heading right now. Rolling through to 120. It's okay. So as the airspeed starts to build, we're going to just bring around here. We know we've got the altitude for it, so our mags, well, our manifold, I should say, not mags. Manifold's still pretty on the low side. We'll trail these off. There we go. Yeah, cowl flaps are trailed off. So we're about 180 now. We're going to have to come around again. And we should see our airport we departed from. Oh, nose down here. Just there on our right. That's Bugalaga. Now I'll show you our route once we go past. The nose down here. We're losing a little bit of speed there. Nose up was too much. We're kind of pushing it on the altitude front here. But we're going to be okay. Could kick the superchargers in fact, nah. We're plenty. We'll be descending soon, so it's not going to be too much of a problem for us. Whoa. Nothing beats those sounds. They're not the best Pratt & Whitney 1820s, but they sound like Pratt & Whitney 1820s. Pretty good 1820s, to be fair. Yeah, that's what we just took off out of. And I tell you what, it's fun. Nothing beats seat of your pants in an old plane that really shouldn't want to do it. But I have faith in this girl. She's my favourite aircraft of all time. I'll say that. If I had to pick a single aircraft that I could only ever love, the DC-3 would be it. But again, I'm sure you guys know that already. Right, we're at 270. This will do us for now. We'll turn north in a minute. Just get some trim here. Level us out where we want to be. We don't need any stinking modern avionics to assist us, but this will help us, because I'm going to show you where we're going. We're heading here to Nabire, which is on the coast, north coast here, as we're flying from there. And I love having this tablet as a 2D pop-out, because it lets me show you guys the route so much better, in terms of what we've got. Now, this was us here at Whiskey X-Ray 53, right? So I'll make sure this is actually put there for you guys. So Whiskey X-Ray 53 all the way to, I think it's Whiskey India Bravo India, I think is where we're heading to. We'll quickly look at this one here and more information. So elevation 6,200 feet there. Size small? Yeah, definitely. Runways. We've got one runway here. And it's 500 meters. That's longer than I thought, so it's like 1,500 feet. But that's not much. That's definitely under a DC-3's necessity. But it's sloped, which definitely gives us a hand. Totally a hand. Now, we're heading to, like I said, Whiskey India Bravo India, I believe it is, over here. Yep, Whiskey Alpha Bravo India. And if we look at our airport, 32 feet, so much, much lower altitude for us. Runways are going to be 16.24, 1,300 meters. Are these feet or meters? I believe... I'm not sure. I love how it's giving the runway dimensions in meters, but giving the elevation in feet. We'll be fine. But we should be good for that one. So, let's turn ourselves a little bit to the left here. Riding over the mountains into cloud, we don't need to be involved in all this mess. Approaching 10,000 feet, we'll keep ourselves below that now. Okay. Should be about good for us here. Now, I will say, some aircraft have been better optimized for 2024. And this is something I've noticed. When the DC-3 here, I'm spinning my trim wheel on my Honeycomb Bravo, and it's barely making a difference. Now, a lot of aircraft, including the stock 172s, a lot of the actual Asobo aircraft, that they have made big updates to for 2024, the trim value, the trim wheel interaction, is much faster. So if I move that trim wheel, it moves a lot more trim, right? I've noticed on aircraft ported in, are just ported like this one, which seems to be a straight port. Now, whether there's no involvement from Airplane Heaven because they couldn't be bothered, or because after the 707 Asobo didn't let them, because let's be honest, the reaction after the 707 was less than stellar, so I can't tell. I don't feel too bad about upsetting anybody because, well, he's already yelled at me for being honest, so what's he going to do? You know, I purchased something with my own money and I got yelled at for it, so what the heck? If people are nice to me, I'm nice to them. If they're not nice to me, I have no reason to keep being nice. Okay, we're good on course here. It's nice and easy for us. And everything should be downhill as well from here, which is much, much nicer. Not a particularly long flight for us out to the coast here. 15-20 minutes or so. And we should be just great. Now, as in terms of an add-on, this actually holds up fairly well. It looks good in terms of being in 2024. Now, if I wanted to use the autopilot, I'd click this. This is one thing you may forget if you're flying the DC-3 for the first time. You can't just, if you use the modern one or the retro cockpit, you can't just enable the Sperry in here or the autopilot in a modern aircraft. Why? Because, by default, both hydraulic systems are powering the aircraft, or both engines are feeding the aircraft's hydraulic system for takeoff and landing. It's a redundancy feature. That way, if you lose an engine, you aren't losing the one engine that's providing you hydraulic power. Because, of course, if you lose the engine providing you hydraulic power, you can't drop or raise your gear, move flaps, anything like that. The controls are cables in this. So, what this does is this cycles the system. Engine pump selector. Take a position as aft. See? Left and right engine fighting the hydraulics. In gyro pilot position, forwards, so like this. Do one click. Left provides power to the gyro pilot. Right to the hydraulic system. So we're not going to use it this flight. I'm just going to leave it in the takeoff and landing position. But that must be forward to use the autopilot or the Sperry. Or the gyro pilot in this case. Once you have that, you're all good. A little bit to the south of our course there. Okay, what's this heading we've got here? It's looking good, we'll hold this. Okay. Nice and easy. Like I said, it looks good in the sim. there's no arguing this plane holds its beauty in 2024 very, very nicely. She doesn't look bad at all. I mean, this livery looks bad, admittedly, but it's the dirty, ratty one on purpose. If anything, in the lighting, she looks even more timeless and glorious, and wow, this thing looks ratty. But she does hold her own. And with the Duckworth mod now making her far more suitable and realistic and enjoyable, I'm personally very happy. Can't complain. Now, there was a discussion recently in, and I'm going to use this for a bit of a talky talk time with Avangel, but there was a discussion recently in the Got Friends Discord. I'm in Got Gravel's Discord, which is where the Got Friends guys hang out. And I have no official affiliation with them. They're just really cool guys. I really like them. They're cool people. And Got Gravel has an awesome bush-focused Discord, which I hang out in. But yes, so there was an interesting discussion on 2024 where people said that a lot of YouTube creators, most of the people majorly panning 2024, the people really being hateful about 2024, are not, in general, were not core flight sim YouTubers. A lot of these people were gaming creators or people in for the drama or smaller channels, people wanting a bit of clout, a bit of drama in a hot moment. Very much a YouTube phenomenon. Now, a lot of these hate videos, panic and pan videos were in many ways justified. Yeah, a lot of the things they brought up were very real, but in many ways the tone in which they did it, I think, was wrong. And I said this in the discussion, somebody mentioned that a lot of the flight sim core YouTubers, so the YouTubers and creators whose main focus was flight sim, were a little too kind to Asobo. They were fair in general, but they were a bit too forgiving. Yeah, I could agree with that. And my reason for being too forgiving is I'm looking at it with foresight. I would love it to be perfect now on release, and it's not. And part of me is mature enough to know it will be better, and I can wait, and I can see what it's gonna be. But I should have been more honest and said, yeah, no, this has been a really bad launch. I think 2024 is still going to be our go-to simulator. I think it's absolutely going to rock our world within 6 months to a year. But I do believe it was early access when it came out. I don't think they wanted to really think of it as early access, but it absolutely was early access. With the server-side issues as well. Like I said, we'll see a lot of difference when this goes forward and how it basically is. But I think some changes, bigger changes will need to be made in terms of content especially, and where that content's located, to really give it its best chance. We're going way fast here, but we've got wind behind us, I think, is also helping. Definitely got a lot of wind behind us here actually right now. There we go. But nice. No, wrong thing. Oh, I think I need to actually get onto Duckworth's Discord, because I think the carb heat is the one thing that isn't working properly on the mod yet. But you can get a patch off his Discord, I believe it is. So that might be the one thing, because I can't move the carb heat levers there. Not too far to the coast over there, I think. We can see it, in fact. Yep. Looking good. Looking good indeed. We're about on course here, I suspect. We are indeed. Just perfectly fine. So yeah, I like to look at this with the potential for what it's going to be, not what it currently is. And maybe unfair, but I'm looking at it with a positive viewpoint, because another reason why I've been very positive, maybe too positive, and I said this in the discussion, is that the world right now sucks. Social media is hatred. The media is hatred. The world is anger and frustration and people yelling at each other, screaming and crying, pointing fingers. And every single game that comes out, there is a whole load of people screaming about it and saying how awful it is. There's people screaming about how terrible TV shows are. For God's sake, people are even trying to tear down Skeleton Crew. The Goonies in space. Like, come on, this is as close to gold as Star Wars and Disney have made a Star Wars series since, personally, The Mandalorian. Like, Skeleton Crew kicks backside. I love it. But people even had a go at that. I will not say why in this, because this is not about that, and I don't want to have a discussion. But, no. I don't want to have a discussion about the topic that people were panning. But it's dumb, okay? In fact, you know what? I don't care. No, I don't care. I'll say it, okay? One of the kids in Skeleton Crew, people were upset because one of the children had two mums. Nothing was said about it. It just happened to be a thing when the parents were, worried about where their children had gone. One of them had two mums. That's it. People were enraged. Either way. Like, if the world is this angsty about things like that and everything else, like, I don't understand. I don't want to be part of contributing to anger. And when it comes to my sim world, I want my sim world to be enjoyable. I want my sim content to be positive and enjoyable. And yeah, there are flaws. It is early access, it is buggy. And I've brought up quite a lot of these problems and bugs, at least in my sphere of flying. Because let's not forget, I'm not an airliner YouTuber. In many ways, I don't care how the sim is for airliners. It's really not my bag. And I know for a lot of you guys, it's also not your thing. Now, in many ways, for bush flying, it's pretty good. Pretty great, in fact. Yeah, it's still got a long way to go, but it's pretty good. The career mode is a, and I was worried. Okay, I was worried when I went to the preview that the career mode would basically destroy all these third-party add-ons that basically give you career modes in the sim, and it's pretty clear it doesn't. It's pretty clear the career mode is its own thing, and it's certainly buggy and it's certainly gimmicky in many ways. It's not that accurate or authentic, and it's unforgiving in ways that really shouldn't matter. Like if I go to an airport that has a single parking area and a single taxiway, and the procedure there is you enter the runway and you back taxi, and your hold short is that one taxiway, right? You enter the runway, you back taxi, turn around and take off. Yeah? Well, if you're at an airport like that in the sim, it will give you your hold short point on the grass next to the end of the runway. And you can't even use the taxiway. You have to taxi across the grass to this hold short point that's imaginary to start the flight, which is dumb. Hopefully they'll fix things like that. But like I say, it's a gimmick, but it is fun. I've quite enjoyed the career mode. But it's certainly a gimmick, and it will not replace things like Air Hauler and NeoFly and other systems like that. And I think that's fine. I think there's a place for everything. Some people want a casual career mode with more kind of hand-holding. Some people want more of a serious one. And I think there'll be a place for both. Let's not forget there's a big casual market, and those casual players will eventually one day want a more serious experience. Whether that be flying, whether that be the type of add-on they have, if they get add-ons, whether that be the career mode, for example. So I think the lower steps have a place in our sim world in guiding people to the higher steps. Right? So I do believe positivity is necessary, because not only is the world such a steaming, angry mess these days. Oh, that's the vibrations, I see. I never knew that did that. Not only is the world a steaming, angry, upset mess, but I don't want to bring that to the sim content. I don't want you guys to open my videos and hear me being rude and angry and dismissive. I can be critical without being rude. I can be critical without being angry and upset. I try to do it with a smile on my face, and positivity, and more important, constructiveness. Now, I can't be very constructive when it comes to to Asobo in many ways. When I say things like the career mode, yeah, there are things I can say constructive about what they could change. When it comes to the bugs in the sim, I just hope they fix them. That'd be nice. Now, I want you guys to know that you can come to me for that, and come to me for an experience where it's going to be a constructive, positive experience. Because we all deserve to have a nice time in our chosen hobby. This is mine, as much as it is yours. Okay? I will never be a shock jock YouTuber who's here to scream about something and destroy a company. And whilst, yes, Microsoft don't owe me anything, and I don't owe Microsoft anything, I am under no reason to be particularly positive because, and people have said this, that, oh, well, they flew you to Arizona, therefore you have to be nice to them in case you want to do anything again. I don't care if they never invite me to anything else again. I'm okay with that. But the thing is, Sebastian Vloch, Jörg Neumann, as just two people, to name but a few, were both really lovely guys. The head of Flight Simulator and the head of Asobo, they were both really nice people. They both cared deeply about Flight Sim. Okay? These weren't guys out to cash grab. Jörg's been involved in it for a long time. Sebastian for a long time. They've both been in games development a very long time. Talking to those guys, I knew how passionate they were. I knew how much they cared about the sim that they were creating. I could see from the smile on his face when talking to Sebastian how much he cared about the features he was creating and what the game was going to be. It's gone wrong. Yeah. It's not what perhaps they envisaged for a lot of people. It's not the experience they wanted to give. I feel bad for them. I'm not going to yell at them. If I'm honest, I think whatever factor was at play here, it was above their heads. I think the date was rushed. I think it had to be 24 because of the date, when the naming, at the timing, so November was when it was going to come. It was not ready. So I feel bad for the guys who worked hard on this, because I could tell there was so much passion and love. You know, I've chatted to third-party developers who've made aircraft in the sim. I've worked on my own third-party aircraft for the Sims. I don't mean the Sims, the game, I mean the flight sims. I know the amount of passion it takes to get behind these projects and to do these things. It is rare that it's a cash grab. Never mind. It's still fairly rare that it's a cash grab. But in most cases, these developers are putting so much heart and soul into aircraft, and I think that's a huge thing. And it's why I don't want to crap on people, even if they get something wrong. Even if they make a mistake. It's why I don't want to crap on people, because I don't think it's worth it. I think it's hurtful, it's mean, and it's unfair. I can tell you an add-on is not worth paying for, or an add-on is overpriced, without being rude about it. I can tell you that the sim is definitely buggy, and I maybe would not get into it yet. Of course, I was going to buy it day one, and I don't regret buying it day one, because spending the 60 to 90 bucks now, or in a year, is still me spending 60 to 90 bucks. At least this way I get to play it whilst they fix it. So, no. I don't regret buying it. And I think if you love flight simming, it's worth getting as well, because it's not huge on your hard drives, compared to a lot of games. Stalker 2 has 150 gigabytes I just installed. This is 50. Even if you only play it once in a while after every update to see if it's improved, while still enjoying 2020, it's still worth it. So I'd recommend you get it if you want it. There are many amazing things it does. The ground information, the ground physics, the flight physics. Even just flying my baby right now, my DC-3. She feels more real. The most small differences have made such a big impact on the sim. The softness of the lighting on the aircraft makes such a difference. The softness of the lighting on the world makes such a realism difference. The light is a massive upgrade. The clouds are a big upgrade. The flight model behavior is a huge update. And I don't think we've even seen the full capacity of what that can do. Because whilst a lot of the updated aircraft we've not seen any third-party aircraft truly really thrown into this sim at full capacity. And with so much more potential for data points and more smoothness to the flight model, the computational fluid dynamics are so much more realistic now in terms of how the planes feel. There is a squish now. Air, it compresses, you know? Air does not just move out of your way. An aeroplane is not this fluid, perfect, you roll the controls, you move the controls this way. It does exactly that. There is an element of squish behind the controls, right? A sponginess. Not much. And with obviously, you know, your precision aerobatic aircraft, you get very snappy responses, but you can see the control surface sizes on those aircraft to get that. There's a slight, and pilots will know what I mean, there's a slight rubberiness to the air. It has give. How much give that is and how much that actually affects your flight is down to how the plane flies and how you fly the plane. But this feels more rubbery than 2020 did. And that's a big difference. We're only just starting to see what 24 can become, both from the Sobo and Microsoft and from the third-party world. I'm still positive. I'm still going to be positive because I think the future is going to be amazing. 25 will be our year. Like I said, I could sit here and tell you every single flaw, and some people in my comments have told me I should make a video showing every single bug, showing every single flaw. When I tell you I started recording this, and every single video I've recorded for 2024 so far, I have recorded from start to finish. It's rare that I cut anything. And that's usually for either inserting something like liveries or showing something else, or the best of one. I go A to B, end to end, normally. Because I like to show my mistakes. And I'll show sim bugs I did in 20. So when I show you I've had a good flight, it's not taking me 20 takes to get that necessarily. One or two sometimes, because yeah, the sim's still a little bit derpy at the moment. But I'm not going to show you the game screwing up when that isn't the point of my video. In the very first experience video I showed you it definitely looking like crap and working badly. That proved my point. It came out bad. Watch that first 2024 reaction video. It wasn't great. What with the Albatross? Like, it wasn't going well. And I was disappointed. But I'm far less disappointed now. I will say the one thing that concerns me is the hardware limitations they've spoken of in the dev streams. Because people needing to be on minimum 40 series cards is definitely a big ask for a lot of people, because that's expensive. And given that the recommended spec, not the ideal, but the recommended spec was a 2070. That's a lot. Shut up. Okay. Let's go to Auto Rich. Engine boost pumps on. Superchargers are off. Props are going to go to full fine. Throttle's out of idle just a little notch. Speed's coming down, that's good. And our airfield should be on our left just ahead. So we're going to be entering on a kind of a left base here. Should see us good here. I believe it was 1.6 we had as well. Yeah, 1.6 and 3.4. So 3.4 will be off to our right and we'll be on the 1.6. There it is. We have field in sight. And this is kind of pretty. I mean, look at this. This looks damn good, doesn't it? It's definitely got its bugs, it's definitely got its moments, but there are times where this sim looks pretty stellar. And there are times where it just looks so much better than 2020 ever managed. There are times where it looks disastrous compared to 2020. There's definitely a sponginess to the texture, which I'm not quite sure about what that is. But there are also times where it looks breathtaking. And they don't have to make sense. The trees are definitely too detailed, that's for sure. Especially to be a streamed asset. I think a lot more assets that are in the sim need to be local. I think Asobo need to take a good hard look at what they have server-side and what they have local, and make some changes. Hey, ship. I think we need to see a lot more content going to be local than server. A lot of stuff they can afford to keep. Now, the trees may already be there. That's probably a thing. But I think a lot more models and textures need to come client side. Okay, there we are. There's our runway. Even just looking at that, like the detail level of how this looks in terms of its lighting and the appearance of it on the ground, it feels so much more real. Okay, we're going to go to 3/4 flaps here. We're a little high, but we're slowing down nicely. So as we descend here, we're still slowing down. Let's assist at a tiny touch. Yes, yes, don't mind me. Ignore what I'm doing to the big aeroplane. I'm what we call a gifted amateur. I know what I'm doing. We're just fine. There we go. A little squidgy woo, and she's just fine. A little bit of a bouncy poo. Oh no. Yeah, a little tiny bit of a bounce. It's my first DC-3 landing in 2024. A little bit of a bounce is a little bit more than I wanted because I came in a little bit hard there. No, we're going to stop in time to get off at the taxiway. No, we're not. Sugar. Okay. But we can do this. That's a bit of dirt. Didn't really want dirt, but they've got big tyres. We don't care. She can handle a little bit of a scrub. We just took off from a mountain, so I think a little touch of dry compacted dirt is not the end of the world. Toe braking here. Boom. All is well in love and war. Now, I tell you what. It's hard to get over getting off your flight to this. But yeah, that stuff disappears and reappears. Thank you, Aeroplane Heaven. And for the first time in the entire flight, I get some FPS stutter, but I got my cargo doors open. And the lighting on this just looks just right, doesn't it? That lighting is beautiful. Oh, my baby looks good, even if I'm now walking inside the fuselage, which is kind of weird. And now I'm not. But... we made it, boys and girls. Papua New Guinea. Oh, that's because my head is not at the right angle. There we go. Hey. Hello. God, she looks a little bit scary, that angle. And that bombshell. Hopefully you enjoyed my TED Talk and our flight. And you didn't turn off already. Look. The world could do with a few more smiles. We can be critical. We can make change. We can say what we mean. But we don't need to be mean. Thanks for watching. Bye.